Ladies and gentlemen, it's a blessing to be here with you today. I've always believed that life is a gift, but it's a gift that comes with a responsibility. So let me start with this: don't live to die. Today, it's you against you. It's not you against your neighbor, not you against your family, not even you against the world. It's a battle between who you were yesterday and who you're going to be tomorrow. If you want to change your life, you need to beat the biggest opponent standing in your way. It's you against your limits. When it comes to real growth, success, and change, the barriers you face aren't coming from the outside, they're all inside you. It's the inner doubts, the habits you've held on to, and the comfort zones that feel safe but keep you small. If you want to change your life, you need to recognize that the biggest, most persistent challenge is breaking past your own limitations. Every single one of us has limits, those self-imposed walls we've built up over time, often without even realizing it. These limits can feel like they define who we are, but they don't have to. They're only walls you build in your mind, telling you where you think you can't go, what you think you can't do, and who you think you're not capable of becoming. Once you identify these limits, that's when you get to work breaking them down one action at a time. The first part of challenging yourself means going beyond what you thought was possible, to give up old patterns and step away from the familiar, even if it feels uncomfortable. Often people stop because they think they've hit their natural limit, or that they're somehow meant to stay in one place. But remember, every success story, every person who achieved greatness started with the same doubts. They felt those limits too, but they refused to let them define what they could achieve. They didn't stop at what was easy, and they didn't give up when things got hard. They understood that the only way forward was to dig deeper, push harder, and keep moving. To overcome your limits, you have to go against that voice telling you to take it easy, to stay where it's comfortable, to wait for the right time. There will never be a perfect moment to break through. If you want change, it starts now. Every time you push a little further, you're breaking through your own barriers. And here's the thing, it doesn't have to be huge leaps every time. Small steps forward add up over time. Each time you go a little farther than you thought you could, you're stretching what's possible for you. You're telling yourself, yes, I can do this. It's about resilience, about choosing not to stop when the going gets tough. When you feel like you're about to give in, that's when you've got to push harder. Because the closer you get to your limits, the more resistance you'll feel. But if you stop when it gets difficult, you're only reinforcing those limits, letting them win. Your growth lies beyond those limits. And the only way you're going to get there is by challenging yourself over and over until your current limits no longer exist. You against your limits means you're running this race against your own mind. And here's the reward: once you break through those limitations, you'll feel a strength that's been there all along, hidden behind your fears and doubts. You'll look back and see that the only real battle was the one inside yourself. Doubt is the enemy. Doubt is the quiet thief of potential. The subtle voice that holds you back just as you're about to step forward. It's that feeling that creeps in whispering, what if you're not good enough? Or what if you fail? Doubt has a way of slowing you down before you even get started, keeping you from taking risks, trying new things, and pushing yourself to the next level. If you want to change your life, you have to see doubt for what it is: a roadblock you can choose to dismantle. Doubt comes from a place of self-preservation, from a mind that's trying to keep you safe from failure, from judgment, or from disappointment. But if you let doubt dictate your choices, you end up living in a self-made cage, limited by what you think might go wrong instead of embracing what could go right. Think of the times when you doubted yourself in the past. Now ask yourself how much of that doubt turned out to be true. How much of it was simply fear of the unknown? Chances are most of it never even happened. Doubt lives in the world of what ifs and maybes, but it doesn't have to shape your reality. The truth is, when you take action despite your doubts, you learn to trust yourself. Every time you step forward in the face of doubt, you're sending yourself a message: I can handle this. You're teaching your mind that you're stronger than your fears. And this is where real confidence comes from, not from the absence of doubt, but from acting in spite of it. Over time, this process changes you. You start to realize that doubt will always show up when you're reaching for something new, but you no longer let it control you. Remember that doubt is normal. It's not a sign that you're incapable or that you're bound to fail. It's simply a test, a challenge to see if you're serious about what you want. When doubt arises, acknowledge it, but don't give it power. Instead, take a step forward, no matter how small. The more you act in spite of doubt, the weaker its hold becomes, and the closer you get to a life that's free from limitations and full of possibilities. Own your choices. Every choice you make shapes the life you're building, and owning those choices is the key to true empowerment. It's easy to let circumstances or other people steer your decisions, but if you want to change your life, you have to take full responsibility for every step you take. This isn't about blaming yourself for things beyond your control. It's about understanding that, at any given moment, the power to choose how you respond is yours. When you own your choices, you're in control of your journey. Think about it. Every small decision, what you do with your time, what you allow into your life, what you choose to pursue or ignore, is setting you up for a future you're either moving toward intentionally or stumbling into by default. When you make conscious, intentional choices, you're giving yourself direction. You're deciding the kind of person you want to become and the kind of life you want to live. But to do that, you have to accept that your choices, both big and small, are yours to make and yours to learn from. Owning your choices also means accepting the consequences. When things don't go as planned, it's easy to point fingers or look for reasons outside yourself. But growth comes from taking responsibility, from looking at what happened, learning from it, and figuring out how to move forward. When you take ownership, you're no longer a passenger in your own life, at the mercy of external forces. Instead, you're the driver, steering toward what you want. Even setbacks become part of the journey, lessons that make you stronger and wiser for the future. But here's the beauty of ownership: it empowers you. When you own your choices, you realize that no one else can take credit for your success, and no one else is to blame for your failures. It's a liberating feeling, knowing that you hold the keys to your own destiny. With ownership comes confidence, because every time you make a decision and see it through, you build a track record with yourself. You learn to trust your judgment, and over time you realize that you're fully capable of making the changes you want. So take each day as a new opportunity to make choices that reflect your goals and values. Own them fully because they're yours, and with each choice you're taking a step closer to the life you've imagined. Growth over comfort. Comfort is tempting. It's where everything feels easy, predictable, and safe. But comfort is also a trap. If you stay there too long, you'll find yourself stuck, far from the growth and transformation you're hoping to achieve. Growth and comfort cannot coexist. You can have one or the other, but not both. If you want to change your life, you have to choose growth, even when it feels uncomfortable, uncertain, or even intimidating. Growth requires you to step beyond what you know. It demands that you face the unknown, try new things, and risk failure. Every time you push yourself to do something challenging, something unfamiliar, you're stretching yourself, expanding your skills, and strengthening your resilience. And while the initial steps might feel uneasy, uncomfortable, or even a bit scary, they're precisely the steps that help you become stronger and more capable. Think of growth as a muscle. Every time you step into discomfort, you're flexing that muscle, making it stronger and more resilient. The more you do it, the easier it becomes to take on bigger challenges. Choosing growth over comfort also means being willing to make sacrifices. It means giving up the habits, routines, or even relationships that keep you in the same place. This isn't easy because comfort is often disguised as stability, as good enough. But good enough won't lead you to greatness. When you prioritize growth, you're telling yourself that you're worth the effort, that your dreams are worth the discomfort. And yes, there will be days when you'll want to retreat to what's familiar, but each time you choose growth, you're reinforcing a mindset that will drive you toward bigger and better things. Embracing growth over comfort is also about embracing failure. Growth isn't a straight path, and there will be setbacks. You'll make mistakes, experience failures, and encounter challenges that make you want to quit. But if you see every setback as part of the process, as a lesson that's making you better, you'll find that even failure has value. Each challenge you face and each failure you overcome is a stepping stone toward the person you want to become. Remember, comfort is a trap that holds you in place, but growth is the force that propels you forward. So when you find yourself in a place of discomfort, embrace it. It's a sign that you're moving, that you're pushing yourself beyond what's easy, and that you're growing. Each day, make the choice to prioritize growth, to step out of what's comfortable, and to trust that every challenge you face is bringing you closer to the life you want. No excuses, just action. Excuses are the mind's way of creating an escape hatch, a way out when things get difficult or intimidating. But if you're serious about changing your life, excuses can't be part of the plan. Action is what creates real transformation. It's what moves you forward one step at a time. When you let go of excuses and choose action instead, you're choosing accountability. And that's the foundation for lasting change. Excuses often come disguised as good reasons: too little time, not enough resources, lack of experience. But if you look closer, you'll see that most excuses are just barriers we place to avoid stepping out of our comfort zones. They make us feel safe, like we're not really to blame for where we are. But as long as you keep holding on to these excuses, you're giving away your power to change. The truth is, the time will never be just right. The circumstances will never be perfect, and the path will never be entirely clear. But that's no reason to hold back. If you wait for ideal conditions, you may be waiting forever. Choosing action over excuses is about taking that first step, even if it's small, even if it's imperfect. Once you start moving, even in tiny increments, momentum builds. Action fuels more action, and before long, you'll find yourself further along than you imagined. Every little bit counts. Every decision to keep moving despite challenges brings you closer to your goal. And once you take action, you'll realize that the fears and doubts you had were mostly in your mind. There's a power in simply starting, in taking control and saying, I'm going to do this no matter what. Action also means pushing through on the days when motivation is nowhere to be found. There will be days when you feel like quitting, when you're exhausted, uninspired, or facing setbacks. But it's in those moments that action matters the most. Show up, even when it's hard, because consistency is the engine of progress. You don't have to take massive leaps every day. Small, steady actions will get you there just as effectively. Imagine a life where every day you chose action over excuses, where every challenge became an opportunity, every setback a lesson. This is how you build confidence, how you create a life that's aligned with your goals. Let go of the reasons why something can't be done and focus on what you can do. Embrace the power of action, and you'll see that you're capable of far more than you ever imagined. Be relentless in the pursuit. When you set out to change your life, obstacles will arise. People will doubt you, challenges will test you, and moments of discouragement will make you question your path. This is where relentlessness comes in. To be relentless is to have a drive that won't quit, a commitment that pushes you forward no matter what. If you want true change, you have to go after it with a persistence that won't back down, even when the road is hard, even when progress feels slow. Relentlessness means giving everything you've got, every day, with the full understanding that success doesn't come overnight. There will be days of uncertainty, times when results don't match your expectations, and moments when quitting seems easier than pressing on. But being relentless is about pushing through those moments, keeping your eyes locked on the vision you have for yourself, and refusing to let anything derail you. It's about making up your mind that this goal is non-negotiable, and that you will do whatever it takes, for however long it takes, to reach it. Relentless pursuit is a mindset, a daily commitment to show up fully invested in your own growth. It means putting in the work even when it's not convenient, even when no one is watching, and even when there's no immediate payoff. This is about playing the long game, understanding that real change doesn't come from a burst of effort, but from consistent, unwavering dedication over time. When you're relentless, setbacks become temporary detours rather than dead ends. Challenges become fuel, not obstacles. To be relentless also means maintaining belief in yourself and your vision, especially when others don't. Not everyone will understand your journey, and that's okay. You're not doing this to prove anything to anyone else. You're doing it for you, for the future you see yourself achieving. Relentlessness is about keeping your own promises, about staying true to the commitment you made to yourself when you first decided to change. In this pursuit, be willing to adjust, to adapt, to keep learning and evolving. Sometimes the path forward won't be straightforward, but a relentless spirit is flexible, finding ways around, over, or through obstacles. Relentlessness is the difference between those who achieve their dreams and those who settle for less. So keep going. When you're exhausted, find one more reason to keep pushing. When it feels impossible, remind yourself why you started. A relentless pursuit will take you further than talent, resources, or even luck ever could.